Hi everyone, my name is Asmita for the people who don't know who I am. I'm one of the anti-bullying admins for this week's theme that we're having in Vanier College. Today our theme is for those who have fallen. Today I'd like to share with you a story about a friend of mine who has fallen, but deserves every recognition to be upward. When I began my time in my high school, I didn't have many friends. I just really cared about finishing my studies, getting involved in the newspaper team or the charity committees that we had, and really didn't want to immerse myself into too much friendships because I knew either they wouldn't last long or I just wouldn't be happy with them because I've had so many heartbreaks with friendships before. However, that all changed when I met Jeremy. He was in my grade 9 English class. We literally sat maybe 3 or 4 seats apart from each other, but somehow began our friendship. It could be because we had a mutual friend, and that mutual friend was like, you guys should get to know each other. You guys have a lot in common. You guys will have a good time walking home together, talking, all that stuff. So we took her up on that offer, and we started to walk home together. And that's what we did for the first few years of our friendship. Those talks I remember to be pleasant, controversial at times, but overall pleasant. And I really liked that because I doubted having friends. But with Jeremy, he didn't make that doubt. He made it happen. He was like, you know what? You should have friends. You and I should not feel a sense of exclusion because of what happened to us growing up. In a way, I knew he was right, so I just followed through on that plan. In our 4th year of high school, that friendship that we had honestly didn't last. Not because we chose to drift apart, but because we got so busy ourselves with our own academia that we kind of forgot to come home together, and we just became so preoccupied with everything else. In my 5th year of high school that I chose to do for reasons of my own, and the year he began university, were completely different from one another. Naturally, he was super busy because university puts a lot of first year pressure and stress, and because I wanted to finish high school as soon as possible, I put a lot of stress and pressure on myself. As I was beginning my 5th year, he was starting off his first year at university. For all I knew back then, he was fine. He was enjoying university. He was attending many different advanced classes with many students, and I was stuck here in school, kind of in the same normalcy that that high school has to offer. In November, all of those things changed drastically for the both of us. One morning, while in English class, one of our friends, Jeremy and mine that is, came up and had to speak to me and our other friend urgently. And we couldn't understand why he was in such an urgent rush to see us. But because we hadn't begun class really yet, we were like, okay, well, we can talk to you. We have some time. He's like, okay, what I'm about to tell you is probably the hardest thing I've ever had to tell anybody, but I've been trying to tell everybody, so it's getting a little easier and easier. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, this week, and I was like, yes. He said, this week, one of our friends, as you know, by the name of Jeremy, and I said, yeah. He said, well, he committed suicide. I said, what? Are you joking? Like, you can't be serious. And he's like, I wish I was joking, and I wish I wasn't serious. But I am serious, and I'm not joking. My face froze. My feet literally wanted to run to the nearest girls' washroom. I was so glad class had not begun officially for me to process or attempt to process the news. I called my mom right away, and I told her, do you remember that friend, Jeremy, the one I had over literally last year? And she said, yeah, what about him? I said, he died. He committed suicide. When she told me that, she froze on the phone. He was the first friend or person that I knew at the time to have committed suicide in a long line of committing suicide victims that I have come to know. she told me what happened, how did he do it, all that stuff. And I honestly couldn't tell her much more than what I knew. At that time, I didn't know that he jumped from a subway station, from a subway track onto a station onto a track, sorry. I found out that news much later on in the game. I found out that one of my other friends, her uncle, picked up his remains days later. It was probably the most hardest news I had to deal with that whole year. Shortly after we found out that he passed away, we didn't want his story to get unheard or unnoticed just amongst our friends. We wanted more people to know about suicide in our school. We wanted his sort of legacy to last within the school because he was a student here that went. And we didn't want that just to be it. Since Jerry was such a fond passion for theatrical arts and fine arts, he was sort of like our Christopher Plummer, if you will. His friends and I, we talked to the drama department and we asked if they would create a scholarship under his name. They thought about it and told us they would let us know because it's not that easy to just create a scholarship, even if it's for someone who has passed away and left an imprint on that subject. So we waited, and in the process we attended his memorial. When we attended his memorial, that was probably the second hardest moment in my life because his mom was so sad and I couldn't do anything to numb that sadness, pain away from her. I couldn't tell her everything will be okay because I knew for a fact from losing my own father that everything will not be okay right away. It'll take time. When she gave each of us a hug, she also attached a little message with it. With my hug came the notion of, Jeremy really liked walking home with you. When she told me that, I left hugging her, wanting to not walk again in some ways. I couldn't walk with a friend knowing that Jeremy really liked walking home with me, because I enjoyed walking home with him too. But you see, I'll never get to walk with him again to enjoy it. The reason I'm telling you this story is not because I want you to feel sympathy for me because my friend committed suicide. I want you to hear my story to know that people do fall because people do feel lonely, people do feel stress, people feel excluded in their communities. It is up to us to help them rise when we see them falling. Unfortunately, I couldn't help Jeremy. It was too late. If I could turn back time, I would. And I always think about what could have happened if he were still around today. He was a good friend, a funny actor, someone who always liked to talk to me, who enjoyed walking home with me, and defied all the odds of what friendship really meant to me back in high school. I think it was because of Jeremy that I finally found a sense of inclusion in my school, a voice, something that mattered. I really thank Jeremy for the short time that we've known each other and for everything he's brought into my life. Joy, memories, laughter, silly acts, if you will, and much more. He would have been 25 years old this year. He would have been celebrating his quarter-century birthday with all of us had he been here today, because I know that if I were changing time right now, he would not be lonely. He would not be stressed with university. We'd get through it. Because he's not, I want to reduce stress and worry among my friends, the ones who have helped me heal through this sad process that I sometimes have a hard time accepting. I'll remember Jeremy for the good times and the silly times, and sometimes the controversial times that we had. But most of all, I'll remember Jeremy for being the friend who I could have helped raise up, not for the friend who has fallen. Because for me, that's not how I defy Jeremy. He may have fallen to some, but to me, he's a friend who helped me rise, even though he fell. Thank you. Enjoy the entire week. We have lots in store for you. It's our first ever anti-bullying campaign week, so I know that greatness will come from it. You can get a wristband to show your support by donating 50 cents to the Piece by Piece organization that will teach young children about conflict resolution and play games with them in order to ensure that, and much more. If you go tonight to watch the movie Bully, enjoy it. It's a very life-changing movie. It'll make you cry, but it'll also teach you the importance around that topic. Enjoy the workshops that are held today, and most of all, remember those who have fallen. I'll always remember Jeremy. There's no way I can forget such a face, or name, or friend, ever. Thank you so much for listening. Have yourselves a wonderful day.